Hey guys, welcome back to pre-production. Thank you so much for listening once again. Today I'm sitting with somebody I am so pumped to talk to, and that is writer-director Greg Jardin, who is debuting with his brand new film, his first feature, It's What's Inside. It's going to be coming to Netflix on October 4th. It had its premiere this year at Sundance, and it sold to Netflix for a large amount of money, as reported. That is something I'm excited to at least talk about what it must have felt like when that happened. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, for joining me today. It's really nice to talk to you, man.
Hey, Chris, thank you for having me, man. I'm honored to be here.
Oh my God, no, your movie's amazing, dude. I watched it and I instantaneously wanted to see it again. So fast-paced, so incredibly well edited. It's bursting with ideas. It's like a volcano of a movie. It's just erupting with constant ideas, thoughts, images. And it's so entertaining, and I struggle to compare it to anything and don't really want to. I think that that's one of the things I love about it, is that it genuinely does feel like a fresh original voice from someone who has something to say. So congratulations on making such an entertaining, good movie, man.
Well, thanks for saying all that, man. I really appreciate it.
So I'd love to know where little Greg Jardin first discovered movies. Like, did it happen when you were young, and did you immediately know, ooh, I think I might want to take part in that in some way, or I would love to make movies, or how did that journey happen for you? Because when I look back on that part of my life, when I realized I wanted to make movies, I feel like I became a crazy person. Like if I knew then what I know now, I wonder if I would still have jumped in. I feel like I just lost my mind. So what was that like for you when you discovered them?
I mean, like everyone else, I kind of grew up with like the like Star Wars Amblin-y stuff. But I honestly did not understand the concept of how films were made until I was like in college, in undergrad. Like probably Spike Lee was the first celebrity director whose name meant something solely because he called all his movies a Spike Lee joint, which just kind of stood out. The first film I remember seeing and being like, man, this is different. I don't know who is responsible for this tone. Tim Burton's Batman. I remember seeing that and being like, I don't know why this feels different than anything else I've seen. I don't understand who's responsible for it, but I love it, and I want to live in this world. And so at that point, I was writing short stories and stuff. I eventually fell in love with Twin Peaks, and I wrote this Twin Peaks knockoff that was all in my English class journal that all had characters from my middle school in it. I like the idea of telling stories, but still at that point I had no idea how films were made. And I remember I was a senior in high school, and some of my classmates had made what was essentially a short film PSA, and they showed it to me. By today's standards, it was probably corny, but it blew my mind that they just had gone out and made this thing and edited it. I was like, I don't understand how you guys did this. And so I guess that was really the first moment where I was like, oh man, people, I don't know what I thought. I think I thought that when a film is made, there's 20 cameras all going at once. They do one take, done. I mean, and then I remember seeing Larry Clark's Kids, which was really the first verite kind of movie that I'd seen. And I remember being like, man, I didn't know movies could be like this. This is insane. I remember it just really opened my mind to what the possibilities of film could be. I went to undergrad at a college called Elon, and there they offered a film major, which is really film theory, but I started studying it, and then that just kind of really, there's no going back basically at that point.
I too had a similar sort of journey where I had to figure out that films could be made and crafted by people, that people worked on them. Yeah. Because there is that kind of fun thing where you see the Batmans of the world, you see the Lion Kings of the world, and you're like, wow, amazing experience that transported me. But there's this slight disconnect when the credits start rolling and you see Gaffer. And you're like, what is that? I don't know what any of that means. So did you have to sort of learn about the positions and how, like you mentioned, your friends made this PSA. Was that sort of a window into that world for you of learning how these movies are crafted by people?
It was really at Elon in undergrad. Yeah, I started to learn about these specific roles. But I mean, that film program, at least at the time, it was very rudimentary. So it was more like film theory. Like we shot on like super VHS, but they had edit labs. So I certainly knew what a DP was. I started to become fans of like DP's works, like Dante Spinati, Darius Kanji, like those were guys, Gordon Willis. When I graduated from undergrad, I moved to New York and I started working as a production assistant, which was like incredible. My first movie that I PA'd on was a movie called Autumn in New York, directed by Joan Chen with Richard Gere and Winona Ryder. And that experience was like incredible. It was, you just, fresh out of college in New York, seeing like movie stars like do their thing and like seeing the way, I have such fond memories of it. And I would ask the DP questions. So that really gave me a lot of education. But I eventually went to grad school at FSU for film because I wanted more of to learn about what you're talking about. I want to learn how to be a gaffer. I want to learn the kind of technical side of filmmaking.
Autumn in New York. That's a throwback. I remember renting that from the library back in the day.
Oh, nice. Nice. How was your impression of the PA work on it?
I thought the PA work really stood out, man. I gotta say,
that means a lot.
Beyond the beautiful face of Richard Gere, all I was really thinking about was the production assistants.
Oh man, I've been waiting for someone to say that for so long. Thank you.
That's so valuable to PA, especially of it. I mean, like we had a PA on my film that one of our key figures got COVID in the middle of the movie, and we had to have a PA kind of level up to set design this one day.
Oh, wow.
And she wanted to be in the art department, and it was beautiful to see her like flourish. And I was like, if I get the privilege of making a second movie, I'm going to for sure. You're coming back in a bigger role. And
yeah, that sounds amazing for her too.
Getting from school to making movies, your IMDb has a lot of credits where you've done like promotional videos and things along those lines. How did you jump into that world? Because I just recently spoke to Mick G, who started on music videos, and he did Smash Mouth All Star and all these iconic videos of the 90s that led to Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Did you find that working in promotional videos and things along those lines gave you a sense of how sets work better, or the fast-paced sort of grind of it all?
I certainly got that sense being at FSU Film School, like very production heavy school. So they, at the time, I think still now, they rotate you through like all the jobs, every job, best boy, grip, boom op, director, obviously. So that was invaluable, but also just the general social component of you're making movies with your friends, they're inspiring you, you're inspiring them, and you're just all there doing it together. Like that was, that was such a beautiful experience. So I came out here with a thesis film hoping to make a full-length movie. Took a long time. I started getting jobs directing like low-budge music videos myself, but low budge stuff. My first one was like a $4,000 video, shooting anything, I'm sure as you know, is invaluable education. There's nothing like it, right? Like you can read about it, watch movies. It's not until you're there and you have to interact with the crew, explain your vision to people. It's just something that you hone over time. But I would say the kind of my biggest takeaways from those early music videos were just how to do the most with nothing, Doing low budget music videos kind of forced me to initially learn After Effects, because if we needed some sort of VFX shot done, it was the one shot's budget's more than the whole video. So yeah. So I started watching YouTube tutorials. Over the years I learned After Effects. I eventually learned Cinema 4D. And during this whole time, I was working a day job at entertainment marketing agencies, essentially doing banners and social media ads for movies and TV shows. That kind of segued into me getting jobs directing Netflix promos for Netflix TV shows. So that was sort of a culmination of everything I've heard, of everything I've learned, being able to kind of come up with a high concept, execute said high concept on set, and handle all the post. Big difference there is that I'm working with big actors and then on sets for these big shows. So that was invaluable in not only essentially working with, I guess, high profile clients, but also high profile actors and juggling that whole thing.
Yeah. And like you said, invaluable. Just complete to be able to be in a space where you're seeing all these people working at a high level, and they're looking to you for answers and sort of
Yeah.
like figuring out how all that works. And that
Yeah.
must have been so fun. I'd love to talk to you about Sundance because I've done a little research into Sundance this year, and they received over 17,000 submissions
Well,
for
yeah.
feature films. And they've got something like, I don't know, 120 slots or something along those lines. And if you do the math, under 1% of the submissions were approved for Sundance, and yours was one of them. So walk me through getting that email, that phone call, whatever it was, when you were like, holy shit, we're going to Sundance.
We shot the movie at the end of 2022 independently. Had like a $2.5 million budget, and I'd wrote the script in 2016. So like just getting to the part where we're shooting it, and I've been in LA since 2006 trying to make a movie. So like just being on set, I'm like, oh my god, I like finally making a movie. This is crazy. But then, yeah, you're making it like in this bubble where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. And the hope is you'll submit it to a film festival, and the studio will take notice and buy it. But of course, in my case, like my expectations were very low, and also the fact that it took 6 years to get it made. I'm like, man, this movie is going to be for me and like 10 dudes on Reddit, and that might be it. So like, I hope to God one of those 10 dudes has $2.5 million to buy it from me, so I can say that we made money back, or that we didn't lose money.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I edited all of 2023, edited and did the VFX, and whatever in like June or July we sent it off to Sundance and to South by. And man, expectations for Sundance are like real low, or for us, like we didn't know anyone there, and you just click a button, whatever, it's off. Is anyone gonna watch it? I don't know. So we're still editing it in November, and then yeah, like one day, I mean, they actually like I was getting some work done in my kitchen, and I'm waiting on the like guy from LA, the LA inspector, to come and approve it. It's this whole stressful thing. Anyway, my phone rings. I think it's the guy. I'm like, hello, Greg? Yeah. It's like, hey, this is Heidi from Sundance. I'm like, what? And she was like, we'd love to invite It's What's Inside to participate in the midnight screening. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry. I was expecting. I was like, I'm expecting a guy to tell me that he's not going to come and approve this work in my kitchen. So what? And like,
excuse me, ma'am, I'm waiting on some work on my sink. You're gonna have to be on hold for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm dealing with this kitchen situation. So yeah, man. So it was. I was like, I mean, like, I'm like, oh my, like I'm like yelling on the phone, and like she's laughing. I'm like, this is crazy. I was like, I can't believe you're calling me. And get off the phone. All of a sudden, I have zero stress about my kitchen, right? I'm like, I don't even care about that anymore. Call my producers, like, guys, I will never forget that phone call. But at that point, it's November. Sundance is in 2 months, and we're not even like picture locked yet. So it's like we got to finish this movie like now. So we locked really within like the next week and a half. Did a mad scramble to finish VFX, sound mix, color, all that. Sundance was nice enough to give us like 2 extensions on the deadline, so we didn't even have it in until like 9 days before the festival started. And it was a wild ride. And then like I remember like we stayed up whatever till like 3 a.m. finishing the color, got it in. We had a PR team that our producers hired for Sundance. I get on the Zoom with them at like 9 a.m. after the 3 a.m. color session, and they're like, okay. This is my first time dealing with like any PR or anything. It's like, okay, we're sending this out to a bunch of critics. They're gonna watch it today. I'm like, what? I was like, dude.
Oh my god, yeah,
yeah,
that's horrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Then you go to Sundance, and really, there's very little buzz about our film. It doesn't really have any big names. So your expectations are low. We have a sales agent that our producers hire, and for those listening who don't know, a sales agent is essentially like a real estate agent for independent films. If you have an independent film, the sales agent will show that to studios with the hopes of one of them getting interested. So he's doing his thing. We go to Sundance. He sort of tempers my expectations. He's like, look, you may have heard these stories about Sundance, like movie selling same day. He's like, that kind of hasn't happened in a while, partially because of COVID, partially because of how streaming has changed the industry. So like these days, like for instance, last year Talk to Me sold in 3 days, which by today's standards is considered lightning fast. So basically, don't get all tripped up about worrying about the sale. I'm like, great, sounds good. I'm gonna just go to like a bunch of movies. The cast is here. We're gonna hang out. You have nerves going into that first screening. You don't even know if people are gonna show up. We have a great first screening. I get a call night after the first screening that we have an offer coming in for $5 million, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And it's like, this is unreal. And like goal going into Sundance was like, I hope anybody buys this for $2.5 million, just so I can say I didn't lose money. So right there, I'm like, all right, we did it. And then like the next day, we're very, very fortunate that multiple people are bidding. I'm watching our sales agent do his thing where he's like pitting the bidders against one another. And it's like you're watching an episode of like Succession. It's wild, very exciting, and like a dream come true. I mean, like truth be told, first offer is in. I'm already like, great. Like everything else is icing. So. Yeah,
it's like the kitchen sink. You don't have to worry about the kitchen anymore because you're going to Sundance, and now you're at Sundance, and you get the first. All right, I'm just gonna go watch movies. I don't have to worry anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So man, it was. I mean, I'm saying this to you. I still can't believe it happened. I can't believe I'm sitting here right now in this press junket. This is crazy.
I understand how you feel. I mean, that's got to be one of the coolest things that you can do. I mean, because when you make a movie, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting all of this hard work, this years of hard work and thinking about it and shot listing and writing and thinking about all the little character interactions, the color and every little sound. And you've seen it go from a terrible LUT in your camera to being color corrected. You've heard all of the horrible someone's beard scratched against their chest mic, and you can't wait to get that sound out of the movie.
That's so real. That is so real. Yeah.
And now you're looking at the movie and it's done, and you're there, and people are liking it, and you must realize, man, that what has happened is the best case scenario for a filmmaker, especially for a debut filmmaker, to have gone to a festival like that and to have a bidding war. I mean, that is the dream in that specific way of that part of the industry, is to get that thing out there that you've made with your guts, sweat, and glory, and to have someone say, "Hey, man, we appreciate this and we understand it." That's even more important. The distributor understands your movie, how to position your movie, and sees the value in it and how they can get people to watch it. And clearly Netflix does.
It's hard to describe the feeling. It surpassed my expectations so much. And I honestly don't imagine I'll have I just don't imagine this type of thing will ever happen again. So I'm just really trying to enjoy this ride and stay present. And it's very emotional if I really think about it.
No, I completely see that. And I also think that, from what I've heard from folks who work with you and just talking to you for a few minutes, you're clearly a nice guy. And I love when people win who really need a win and who deserve a win.
Yeah.
And clearly you've won big here. And I just think it's cool to have somebody who, and again, like I said, I've seen your movie. So like I can see like instantly like just how much you fucking love movies and care about movies and want to tell stories and want to tell unique stories visually, just on the editing alone. Of course, we won't get into any spoilers, but there are so many really unique ways of telling backstory in this film through photos and things along those lines that I've never seen done to this stylistic intent before. And I was really mesmerized by it. And I'm assuming you saying you've had a background in effects work. Did you do a lot of that yourself? Because I can't even imagine explaining that to someone like, here's where we're going to cut. It's this shot is literally 1 second long, and then we're cutting into this one. Like, did you have to do a lot of that yourself?
The black and white flashback stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff I did personally, myself. I mean, it was really just like a lot of photoshopping. That stuff we just shot all that with a Canon 5D DSLR, just one flash, same lens. and essentially it's everyone just doing the mannequin challenge, supplemented with like some stuff in post, like liquid in the air, etc. But yeah, I mean that kind of came out of, yeah, I mean, like exactly what you're saying. Like we essentially had to have this like big exposition dump before like the main movie, i.e., The Suitcase, could get going. Us movie nerds, we've watched so many films. When we see a bad exposition dump, it always gives us like, you know, a bit of a, it's like, you know. Or I think the fear is that if you know you're watching exposition, you almost get impatient and just want the movie to get along with it, and it's almost like irritating. So I was like, you know, I just want this exposition dump sequence in and of itself to be like so fun, and such a ride in and of itself that it just distracts you from what it's doing, which is just giving you backstory. I'd done so many Netflix promos, which are all essentially like these like tight 1 minute, very visual things. My brain had just been essentially like beaten into coming up with like high concept, sort of eye candy visual ideas and like ways to kind of tell stories with using visuals that I was like, you know, this should be essentially like a promo type vibe. Because we shot it with a still camera, shot it very fast. Like that was the only day that we wrapped early, was the still photo day.
One of the things that impresses me the most about it is how efficient it is, because, you know, you said you had a $2.5 million budget and you've got extensive backstory with some of these characters and you have to understand where they come from and why they're there. But you're not flashing back to all of these locations with having, you can take these photos and you can use these photos as a way to tell that story in a very fast way. But I imagine it also saves some money and some time. Like you said, you wrapped early that day, which is a great way of like getting through that necessary component of the story, but without having to weigh the production down as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. In the script, it was described as you're watching Photoshop on crack. Like you're seeing someone flick layers on and off constantly. And then, you know, it was like you're trying to explain it to the crew. I think just with everything else, the first instinct is like, oh man, that's gonna be expensive. And I was like, no, guys, it's like one lens, one light, flash, just quick. And you know, I had done this music video for Joey Ramone posthumously, where it was essentially like stop motion using photographs that we shot all over New York. So I kind of had the experience of doing, I guess, stop motion with people with photographs before.
I'd like to sort of wrap it up because I'm getting the 5 minute warning here by essentially, again, I've told you I love your movie and I think that I could very well see this becoming like a midnight movie, sleepover party movie for like a lot of people who just want to like watch a really fun movie that, you know, I've got movies like that are sort of like, this is a perfect party movie. This is a perfect this movie. Your movie can be enjoyed by a solo person, of course, but like I could totally see like if this came out in like '04, me and my friends like watching this like at 2 a.m. and being like, this movie's fucking crazy. Like, you know, thanks, like man. You just did a great job, man.
Thank you, Chris.
So I'd love to know, like, if you can talk about it, probably not, but like what are your goals for the future? Do you see yourself, you know, do you want to make a bigger film? Do you love this sort of indie filmmaking, or are you just sort of like, get me the fuck out of here, give me some money to make a big movie? You know, like, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to to keep making movies. I mean, I don't necessarily have like massive budget like kind of like IP aspirations. I mean, if I'm lucky enough, like we said, if I'm fortunate enough to get to make another movie, I would prefer it to be something that I generated. The way I see it is, you know, I'm on this earth for a short time. I'm on a blip, and sort of like a bigger budget tentpole movie will be made regardless of me or really anyone else, right? But so I would like my next contribution to just be something that like I came up with and you know, and ideally only I could do. You know, I kind of want to keep stuff in the under 20, under 10 million zone solely to retain as much creative control and voice as possible. And people have asked like about genres, and I call the tone of this movie anxiety chic. Which is, you know, my way of saying like it makes you anxious, but it's fun. I think, which is my favorite type of movie. So I imagine wanting to stay in the anxiety chic cinematic universe in the future.
No, that's great. I love to hear it. I feel the exact same way. I love the idea of just making stuff that There, like you said, there's plenty of IP out there. There's not enough people who are making original stuff and contributing, stories. So thank you so much for this movie. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I would love to talk to you again in the future whenever you're available. Obviously, you're in the middle of a press junket. You're very tired, but I'd love to talk to you more in the future. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Hey, man, thank you. And I can't wait to see Shelby Oaks, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Absolutely. Next year. It's coming out next year.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, I'll be there.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chris.